So let's talk about this vat, this strange tub, this reservoir where human souls, the souls that have been guided, coaxed by the dream at their death, to then going into this other dimensional place that I can only relate it best as to, in a way, a kind of purgatory. Purgatory in the sense where you go there, you stay there for a while, but in the process of being there, the you as you have known it is molten away just like metal. You could imagine millions, billions of souls in this kind of energetic cauldron that's heating things up and mixing things up and churning. And so a human soul, a normal human soul that has gone from their death into this area is being basically broken down and mixed with others. And so there is no individualization there. What was once a soul, an individual thing, has now become a communal thing. And eventually, much like you could say, if you're purifying something, the heavier masses stay at the bottom and the lighter go to the top. Well, once you reach or what was you reaches a certain heat, a certain energetic level, then it's back on into this matrix over here that I'm walking in and around right now, that we call this normal three-dimensional reality. But if you go into the vat, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're completely lost, and when you come back there's nothing of your original essence, because in a way there is a certain maintenance of self through the vat. But this also has a lot to do with character, and this has to do with what kind of level of consciousness it is that you've developed over your time over here. Because the way that the human soul works is that the human soul is almost like good material that needs to be cauterized, needs to be solidified, needs to be, by the means of heat and pressure, compacted like carbon is, to then make a beautiful diamond. And so the soul, in a way, very much works under these sets of principles. So when you have a soul in its more normal state, would be rough material, and the pressures of life and the situation that we're here meant to be a stimulation to a process of gaining consciousness and change. And depending on how much or how little one has done of this, is how much their soul has, say, crystallized. And so when you go into this vat, the more crystallized that your soul has become through the process of living, and it's not just this life, it can also be continuations of other lives. You could say that there's some kind of base material, a foundation, a part of this soul that isn't necessarily broken 100% down and then put back into the world as something completely different. It actually is coming back, a soul that has gone in with more crystallization, is a soul that hasn't been as completely transformed within this cauldron of souls, in this kind of purification process that it's doing, or you can even say an extraction process of what it's doing. But we'll maybe get into something like that at a later date. And so that is one of the ways in which a person, when they die, can go end up. And let's talk about another way in which, when you die, things can go for you. And so the one other option is that if you are a person who has not lived morally by their own standards, then if you are one of these people who basically knew that you were supposed to do this, that, and these, and you did not do these things in your life and wasted your life. Particularly though, if there was some kind of deviancy in you, something that was shameful or embarrassing. There's a lot of different things that people have that can qualify as that category. Everything from extreme narcissism to sexual deviancies of any variety. A person in their narcissism who's a thief, a white-collar criminal, whatever it is, has done bad things, was mean to his mother, whatever it is. If it's heavy enough on your soul that when you die, you digress from the light and the dream, you basically say no to it, and because of your shame or your embarrassment or your anger, because sometimes people do die with anger and therefore have this difficulty in passing on. And so what happens there is you become a discarnate being. Things that sometimes we can call ghosts and such, but that you essentially still kind of live with an attachment to the third dimension, only you're no longer part of it. You're a witness of it, and you are substantially quite weak in the beginning. And there's one thing though, you're not alone in this little world that you go into once you die, but do not go the process into the machine, into the matrix, to go on to other things. And so in this process, you're stuck, you're left in a very negative world, in a very negative place out here. I could only equivalent it closest to being like in a prison, in a way, where you've got to fight for yourself, survive for yourself, and there's one incredible thing that you're going to notice is that you're hungry, and that you're hungry for something that what normal everyday food maybe used to do for you. Maybe you were one who indulged too much in it. Maybe that's why you're even there too. But now you've got to, in some way, shape or form, make this sensation of hunger, of weakness, and all these things that come with it go away. And we're going to talk about that when we get to the next part.